Hi everybody! Recently you might have heard quite a lot about teaching the pronunciation for English as lingua franca use or teaching lingua franca core pronunciation. And you might have wondered to yourself, why? Why would I start teaching pronunciation differently? That's why in this video I want to give you 5 reasons why I think it's really important to change our approach to teaching pronunciation. So let's get started. First of all, before I get right down to it, if you're new here, my name is Marek Kiczkowiak and I run TEFL Equity Advocates and Academy, where I help English teachers teach English for global communication and tackle native speakerism. And if you want to give this video a like and a follow, that would be fantastic as well, so you don't miss any of my future videos. Before I start with the 5 reasons, just a very quick recap about what Lingua Franca Core is. I made another video and I linked it right below here, going into detail about Lingua Franca Core. So in here I just want to say very quickly that it's a list of pronunciation features which researchers have found to be important for having clear and intelligible pronunciation in international context. And as I said, if you want to find out more about it, there's another video that I made and the link is right below. So why would you want to teach pronunciation for English as lingua franca use, also known as Lingua Franca Core? First of all, for me, the important reason is that it's based on research. It's not based on a gut feeling as English teachers as to which sounds we should focus on in class and why, but it's based on research. What have these researchers done? Basically, they record conversations between people from different countries who are using English as a lingua franca, and then they identify instances of misunderstanding, and then they identify which of these misunderstandings are to do with pronunciation, and then which pronunciation features have caused these misunderstandings. And then they were able to simply arrive at a list of pronunciation features that, if mispronounced, can lead to misunderstandings. And this has been called the Lingua Franca Core. So this list, as I said, is totally based on research, and that's why I think it's a really important first reason why you might want to switch to teaching Lingua Franca Core pronunciation. The second reason is that it can lead to actually better results. Of course, we need more research, but the research that we have suggests that teaching Lingua Franca Core pronunciation and using this as the basis for your syllabus for pronunciation classes can improve students' intelligibility more than teaching a pronunciation syllabus based on standard British English or general American English. So I think personally for me as a teacher, these findings just give me another reason why I think it's really important to start focusing on those Lingua Franca Core sounds. Reason number 3 is that it gives an appropriate and achievable model for our students. We've got a lot of second language acquisition research on pronunciation, and all this research seems to suggest that there is a sensitive period beyond which the vast majority of adult learners will never be able to achieve what is called native-like pronunciation. In other words, the vast majority of adult learners will never be able to pass off for a native speaker. And note that this is an appropriate goal for our learners, I think, and that's another aspect of this. I think our students can maintain their first language accent and identity when speaking English. There's no reason why your students should pretend to be from London or from New York or from wherever else. They can have clear, intelligible pronunciation and still sound like they're from Spain, China, or Mexico. There's no reason why they need to lose this identity. Reason number 4 is that focusing on Lingua Franca Core pronunciation really focuses us on the sounds that our students need to be able to get right in order to have clear pronunciation. And if we take the analogy with teaching vocabulary, I'm sure when you teach vocabulary, you want to focus on the words that are the most relevant, that are the most frequent in given situations, in order to really help your students be able to use English effectively in this particular situation. And I think it's the same with pronunciation. We know which sounds seem to cause most misunderstandings in international context. So why not focus on these most important pronunciation features first in our classes? Reason number 5, which for me personally perhaps is the most important and perhaps is the one that is easiest to overlook, is that a focus on pronunciation for English as a lingua franca use or for lingua franca core moves us away from native speakerism, or the idea that any native speaker is not only linguistically but also pedagogically superior. And one of the fundamental beliefs or ideas that still perpetuates native speakerism is this idea that native speakers are better models of pronunciation and by extension better teachers of pronunciation. And I think if we constantly get our students to imitate this very specific native speaker model, and it is a very specific one, it's not just any native speaker pronunciation, but it's the standard British or standard general American pronunciation, then inadvertently we keep on promoting this idea that our students need to sound like this very specific native speaker voice on the recording. And by doing that, you know, we shouldn't really be surprised that many students show a preference for sounding like a native speaker, or they show a preference for native speaker voices, because we've really cultivated this belief in our learners for the last couple of decades when teaching pronunciation. So in this video, I gave you 5 reasons why I think it's really important to start teaching pronunciation for English as lingua franca use, also known as lingua franca core pronunciation. If you want to find out more about this topic and learn how you can tackle native speakerism, teach English for global communication, then check out my courses on TEFL Equity Academy, and the link is right below this video.